Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Denis, and welcome to another episode of Drumfills Kafé. Thank you so much for being there with us tonight. As usual, before we start, I will invite you to go check out the YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram pages of Drumfills Kafé, to do a like and, of course, subscription to those pages. I will also invite you to go check out drumfillskafé.com, the main webpage, where you can check out all the past seasons, all basically the interviews, editorials, everything we've done in the past 13 seasons. Go check it out at drumfillskafé.com. So tonight we're starting our 13th season. I can't believe it's been so many seasons already. So tonight's guest to start this season is a drummer who has worked with an incredibly diverse array of talent. Everyone from Men at Work, Keiko Matsui, Lyle, Gonzalo Rubalcaba, sorry, I hope to say that correctly, Doc Severinsen, Sheila E., Rubalcaba, and so many more artists. He was recently on tour with Men at Work in 2025, and to find out what he's up to this year and so much more, please welcome the very musical Jimmy Branly.
Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
Jimmy.
How you doing, Dennis?
I'm good. Thanks so much for joining us.
Of course.
So I see that you're in your studio practice space. Where you are exactly right now?
This is where I do all my drum tracks for clients, and I don't study that much. I don't really practice that much. I should, but sometimes I find myself with very little time for it. But I do a lot of drum sessions here, and I do a lot of mixing and mastering as well, where I'm sitting. But over there, I have a remote where I work directly with the drums, and that's
okay.
Maybe later on we can point the camera out so you can see some stuff.
Oh, it's up to you, but thanks. Yeah. So yes, on your website it says drummer, producer, and educator. So I guess we'll touch a bit on all those three aspects. But for the question I always ask to start is, how did you start music? What is it that grabbed you? I think it was back in the day with your dad's records or something like this.
I was very little when I used to visit my dad on weekends, and he only played back to me a record of course, 1972, Deep Purple, Made in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And at first I was like, what is this? And then, man, it just, for some reason, it got me. And I was already interested in drums, but that got me into even more, because without seeing him, even without knowing his name, because he had I knew the name of the band, but my dad never mentioned the name of the musicians.
Yeah.
And so imagine you idol someone and you listen to this person without knowing who he is. That's practically how Cuba was at the beginning for me and many friends from that time, that we get tapes with no information. So you get the information, but you don't really know, history, nothing behind it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So you practically learn by ear. So, and years later, if I move forward, years later, I realized that Ian Pace is just a rock and roll version of Buddy Rich,
Yeah.
And I didn't know that either, because I went to school when I was little. The Cuban school was mainly snare drum.
Okay.
For about 4 years, I was there. 5 years only doing this, a technique I didn't even like. And it was one of the methods that we studied was the Buddy Rich rudiment and snare book. And 5 years doing this.
Oh my God.
And the teacher telling you how to, and I wanted to play like this and do this stuff. And they say, no, you got to do this. And we were, the Russians were helping Cuba, and we had all this very classical way of learning. But of course, I didn't learn anything at school. I learned everything by myself, because school was so classical and I wasn't interested, honestly. I pay attention, but it was a technique I didn't like, and good teaching. I learned some stuff, good reading, good good rudiments and stuff, but I was never into that, So when I went back home, that's when my study really started.
Is this in high school or?
No, this was when this was early before high school. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I started when I was 9, 10.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I took off by ear, listening to records and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Peter
Mm-hmm.
Pace, uh, Beatles, Rush, all the rock stuff, and then little by little switching to, you know, other fusion stuff, and then going back
Mm-hmm.
into Elvin Jones, Jack the Unit,
Yeah.
then Chick Corea, Dave Weckl, Vinny, all the guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Steve Gadd, and well, so many people, but listening in portions that are it's hard to explain now, because back then a friend will bring a record on a tape, and you listen to that, and then you listen to something else, and you grab information here and there. So if I needed to learn something, I would have to pay a lot of attention to what I'm listening
Yeah.
and grab stuff by ear, because though I never had a book or anything like that. So not even a drums. I had to build my own stuff out of whatever you could imagine.
Oh, really? Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I can relate. I can relate to learning everything by ear because yes, I think we're similar to age. And yeah, anything that I wanted to like, if I had to listen to a Rush song and try to figure out what he would do,
Yeah.
trust me, that tape at the end was like because I played rewind, play forward so many times that the tape was about to disintegrate. That yeah, because it's everything by
Exactly.
here. There's no video. There's no nothing. I think he put out a tape in '96 or whatever finally for Neil. So yeah, so there is that school of learning by ear back in the day. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, by the time I was able to see video of some drummers, I went like, oh, that's how it's done.
Exactly.
And I'm not that far. It's just that, when you got a good ear, when you have not having a good ear, but having a interest, and you are committed to learn.
Hmm.
There's incredible what you can do with just listening.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
Sometimes the book, sometimes, yeah, books are great, but you have to you can't stop listening, because otherwise I see a lot of people that we can get into that play very people are very studied, very
Hmm.
and you got to get out of the book, go to the street, go back to the book, never leave the
Hmm.
book, but I mean, make sure that so I went out, I saw people playing, I saw people I
Hmm.
didn't like, saw people I loved, when I went back home, you got inspired,
Hmm.
and listening to the tapes by trying to decipher, that, oh, this is what the left hand is doing. Okay, so it's like a blind person. It develops so much
Yeah.
other,
So
you know.
eager to yeah.
So you are totally in front of the drum set that you're creating yourself, not even a real drum set, and then listening to people who are playing on real instruments, and then you're trying to come up with a sound.
Hmm.
And it was tough, but I don't regret it at all. I think it was very important to have gone through that the way I went,
The way it went. Yeah.
the way me and fellows from that time, learn.
But you're also connecting the dots, right? Like you said, you're like, you would listen back and say, okay, and now I'm going to concentrate on the left hand and what is the left hand doing, and then listen back and okay, in just a position to the right or whatever. So you're kind of connecting dots, in your
The,
mind,
on-
if
the
you will.
only problem with that was that you pay too much attention to the drums and you forget about the music a little
Music,
bit.
yeah, that's true.
And later, it comes later when you realize, well, now I'm okay. I don't know in what order it should be. It should be music first, but
Mm,
if I like drums, I'm gonna pay attention to the drums. But it's not good to just focus on
on the
that,
drums, yeah.
and that's how I started. I mean, you wake up immediately, hopefully not too late, to realize that whatever happens around the drums, is what makes the drums play well, as well.
Mm, mm,
So that comes later when you grow and you're not a kid anymore. You realize music is what matters, and
yeah.
and that helps a lot to understand even more. But if you just focus on what the drummer is doing and the drum fills, and then you don't know why he's doing it,
Yeah, exactly.
you only know
Yeah,
that he's doing it, and
yeah.
that's it. So
You
it's a lot
become
of
a.
things. Yeah.
No, I was going to say you become a Xerox machine. You just you
Yeah.
become a photocopier.
Oh, it's so much processing to learning the real the real music, to be musical on drums.
Mm,
It's a big thing. It cannot be just by reading book and watching videos and and treat it as it was a sports.
mm,
So it's
mm.
a whole different deal. Yeah.
I like that way of thinking, and we'll touch on that because there's just the things that I would talk about. Because that's why in the intro I call you musical drummer, because listening to some of the artists you play with and are available on your YouTube, you can tell that basically you are very much listening and interacting with the band throughout the concert. So yeah, we'll touch about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want you to talk.
No, because you said we were gonna talk about it, but I thought we're into it right now. I thought
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
that maybe the most important thing is that for me, imagine you're sitting in front of the drums that has only, let's say, two racks, one floor, snare, three
Yeah.
cymbals, or two. It's very small, you know, and you don't need more. So in order to make it musical, you have to learn how to sing with all those four or five things. How
Mm,
to make
mm.
in music coming out of that. So because not a lot. Look at the piano player, how many notes he's got. How many directions you can go, how many ways you can interpret one single chord.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
So that's the way I see it on drums. If the piano player can, you gave him a B flat, he can make it into many things and make it sound interesting many ways. We could do the same with drums.
Mm,
It's just the way you are, the way you get the sound out of it, and the way you hear your phrases,
mm,
in order to make it more musical. But that's
mm.
so much we can talk about that.
Well, I love that. I love that you said hear your phrases.
Yeah,
I like that quite a lot because, yeah, it's that old thing where if you play a phrase, but I'll play it, it won't sound the same, because we're two different drummers, two different feels, that sort of thing. I like that. I like that very much. What you're saying. I think it was Jeff Hamilton that was saying that that's what he was mostly practicing the last years. He's not practicing rudiments. I'm just practicing my phrasing. I'm just whatever melody I have in my head. I'm just trying to get that out on the drums, basically. Yeah.
exactly. I think it's very important that you not just focus on what you learn and repeat it, but focus on making that you learn into many things.
Hmm.
Because otherwise you just have blocks of information and you're putting it together. Yeah, so it's like phone numbers. How many phone numbers you can create? Millions and millions, the same thing. So if you have three ideas for a phrase, you can combine them in many different directions, and then
Mm.
the dynamics and the musicality comes into play and makes it even more interesting, because that simple phrase can become million things. And that I'm not such a technician. I don't have a lot of speed or any of that. So I
Oh, okay.
try to, even some things sound, you hear that I do sound, that they require some kind of a practicing. It's mainly repetitions that I do, but in many different ways. So it sounds like a variety of things, but sometimes the same thing. Just play. I just, I've never put time into the fast part of it.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Well, just to close up a bit of your childhood. So back to where you were a kid and learning all this stuff. Did you have a teacher eventually? Did you start playing with artists already? How did it work for you back then?
Well, I had a teacher, but as I mentioned before, it was just snare drum.
Yeah.
So, and it was a technique I wasn't enjoying at all, and it was very strict.
Yeah.
And so when I got home from school, when I had found my time with my sticks, whatever sticks I could find or build myself, I was I I like playing on really soft surfaces, like
Okay.
like a pillow or or mattress is something where my rebound wasn't that easy,
Mm-hmm.
to get. So I was trying to always to get enough strength to make doubles on a simple, easy, soft surface.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing I really practice.
Okay.
I think I practice that more than anything in my life. I practice how to get two notes quick without rebound, without the help of the tension of the drum head.
I see.
And that helps a lot too when it comes to, because I'm not a drummer who plays a lot of singles. I prefer, I don't do fast stuff with single. I do the fast stuff with doubles in each hand,
Doubles.
or
Okay.
with a little help of the kick. But yeah, when I was a kid, definitely I didn't know what I was doing. I just was trying to please myself with with the way I was hearing what I was listening on this
Listening to, yeah.
tapes,
Yeah.
and try to get a technique, because the first thing you have to do as a drummer is to to lay a bed of information. In this case, could be a technique that makes you you know uh, move around the drums and get sound. That after that, then you need to bring all the magic into it. But you need to have some kind of a, that's first thing they teach you, that how to grab the sticks, how to make a sound.
Mm.
Once you get that, and you like what you do, and you are not forced by someone telling you that this is the perfect technique or not, it's the one that you feel like. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you look at Bill Stewart, and you
Yeah.
look at his technique. I say, what is that? And it's so beautiful. You close your eyes, and it's the sound he gets amazing. So it doesn't really matter. It's what you feel comfortable with.
Mm.
And I didn't have any information about this. I just pretend I knew by just feeling comfortable,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when does it for you like come from school to start playing with artists around in Cuba?
Well, the good thing about school is there was a lot of great musicians, and in our breaks, or when we were not doing anything, we just play, and most of these guys already started bands, so I was playing with them, fusion tunes, and what, not even to the Cuban stuff yet. And I was born in Cuba, born and
Yeah.
raised,
Okay.
but I was never into. I never got that information yet in my first years of learning. I was only into the rock, jazz, and
Okay.
fusion stuff.
Okay.
So when I was in the middle of my first 5 years of school,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get out, because what I was learning wasn't really what I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so lucky that I was already playing things that, for some reason, there's not a lot of drummers in Cuba.
Okay.
Okay, so
It's
there's a
most.
lot of great drummers, but mainly more percussionists.
I was about to
But there's
say,
a
yeah.
lot a lot of great drummers too. But
Yeah.
it's not really an instrument that developed that much. And also really hard to find. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, I was one of the few youngers that was into jazz and fusion. And for some reason, this band of already adult guys came to school looking for me when the drummer left to play with Gonzalo. His name is uh, the drummer was Julio Barreto,
Okay.
Jules Barreto, who lives in Europe now. Uh, he left that band, and they needed another guy, so they went to school. I was sitting outside, and they come in this car, say, "You Jimmy Branly?" That's scary when someone comes by in the car.
Yeah, yeah, just like okay, what did I do?
Imagine the three guys sitting in the back. Do you want to join our band? And I was like, yeah. And I went with them. I sat in the car, went to the it was a movie theater where they used to rehearse
Okay.
during the day when there was no shows. And they left me there with a drum set that the other drummer left, and with a sequencer. I say, here's our
Cool.
music. Back then they were sequencing stuff just for people to learn, no? And they left. They left. We'll come back in a couple of days, learn all these parts. And
Okay.
here's a tape. So I wasn't reading really drums. So I had to learn by ear. So
Right here.
2 days later, they come back, and we start rehearsing, and I started doing some small tours with them. They were in their uh, 30s when I was 16.
Wow. Very
16.
cool.
So I did my first tour when I was 16 years old
Very
with
nice.
them in Venezuela, actually.
Oh,
And
okay.
they were very experienced people and very good musicians, you know.
Mm,
And the name of the band was Cuarto Espacio,
okay.
and they came from the band name Afro Cuba, which is the band that was back then backing up a really good famous Cuban singer named Silvio Rodriguez.
Okay.
Uh, so these guys put a quartet named
Okay.
Fourth Space or Quartet Space, and it
Hmm.
was very fusion, very interesting. There's a record if you look for it, and I play with them. That record, I forget the name. I'll send you a link
Okay. I will.
with the name.
We'll put it in the description. Okay. Yeah.
I was very young when I recorded with that band, and then the drums that we had at the studio wasn't really sounded that good. But well, we did the record. Anyways, that's my 17 years old first album.
That's very cool. I mean, you get to play with people that experience and get to learn.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
That's the
was it
best
was
goal.
great.
That's very cool.
But then what follows is that, like everything, it was really hard to live off just playing jazz and stuff. You owe some money, you know.
Mm,
So I moved. For some reason, people start talking about, oh, all these salsa bands, and now I'm getting paid, you know, in dollars and stuff. So I move on to the Cuban. I don't want to call it salsa, but to the Cuban music scene, which is it's almost like going from a jazz trio into Tower Power,
oh, I
something
see.
like that,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Big band.
So playing harder, playing with guys, mainly black guys, you
Okay.
know. And I was all this white dude with long hair. Those guys were, oh man. But I learned from them, and they were so cool. And oh man, he's called Energía La Banda, and also Isaac Delgado, singer from Cuba. So I
Okay.
spent like 3 years between these two bands, and that was a big experience because I learned some strong Cuban stuff. You know,
Mm,
that was it's needed. If you from there, you need to know that. If you need to
yeah.
experience it, you know, not just born there and say I have it in my blood. No, you have to play with
Yeah.
those
Yeah. No.
cats to know what it
Yeah.
takes. You know,
Yeah.
and then after that, I did a bunch of European tours. I went to Japan, a lot of places. Then I went back down to what I really wanted, you know, the jazz and to be able to say more things in the drums, you know, with more musicality. So I was lucky that Gonzalo Rubalcaba, a really incredible piano player from Cuba, also called me to start playing with him, and I did a couple of tours with him, and that was an even more intense experience, you know.
Okay. Okay. So you're touring, you're building, you're getting your styles together. You're getting your chops together. You're touring a lot. You must have been.
Touring and coming back to Cuba to where we had nothing, you know,
Mm,
without getting into politics, I could say that
yeah.
we had nothing and we had to live with make things make up our own things. And when you travel, you can bring stuff, you know, like
Mm,
drumsticks, for example, something so simple you cannot find over there.
mm-hmm,
Drum
mm-hmm.
heads. So my first drum heads in Cuba, I built them out of X-rays stuff, film,
Really? Oh yeah, the
or
cellophane. Yeah, yeah.
oh, you have no idea what I had to play with. So one time I had this little Russian snare that had no wires.
Oh,
So it occurred to me to say, how about if I put beans inside or rice? So I opened the
that's
drum
funny.
head and I put rice, you know, to cover a little bit of the bottom head. And I had that resonance. And this works a little bit. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was one of my first snares that I found. I don't know how I found it, but most of
Okay,
my stuff were home built. Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, that must have been quite a culture shock when you were touring and being outside of Cuba and seeing all this stuff and seeing being able to go to a shop, I guess, to buy sticks and whatever. I guess. Yeah.
Not only that, that's how you decide, I got to get out of here.
Okay.
Because you're already been out and you've seen the world and you go
Yeah.
like, it's not that you want to have what everyone else have. It's just you want to have the freedom
Of choosing.
to 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 see what happens with you, you know,
Mm,
because in countries like Cuba, there's no way to express yourself without being watched or without being
I see.
limited. You know that there's a limit you cannot go. You know, and when you get out of Cuba, it's like you can look up and say, you know, I'm gonna try to be there with these
Mm,
guys, or I want to play with certain cats. So you could do it if you really put your mind into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So getting
And
out of Cuba was a dream.
yeah, I was about to, I guess, leeway to that back in the 90s. Yeah, when you moved to the States, I guess that's why you moved and wanted to expand, if you will, your horizons.
Yeah, the American dream is to buy a house and be happy and whatever. The Cuban dream is to get out of Cuba.
I see.
Yeah, that's how it is.
And when you got to, how did it go for you when you got to the States to try to continue your career there? How did it go?
Buddy, I can tell you it was hard
Okay.
because the thing is, when you're young and you play drums and you think you're good,
Hmm.
uh, you think that you're gonna get here, you're gonna get here, and you're gonna skip the line and make it to the front.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, it takes years because it's not like that. It's not like it doesn't matter how much you play because even playing the drums as I was playing it, the technical part of it and the music part of it was pretty good. Still, it doesn't compare to all the stuff people do here, you know, because here people expand from. I mean, you need to read, you need to socialize, you need to
Hmm.
speak the language which I'm still learning,
Okay.
and you need to adapt to a world that is not where you grew up, you know, and that is more important than the music itself because people here, and I imagine in Europe and everywhere they were the same, but people here want to play with people they feel comfortable with, not just
Hmm.
music, you know,
Hmm.
and they want to be able to conversate with you. So imagine if I first moved, I didn't speak a word.
I
What are
mean,
they gonna do? Enjoy what I play only and not be able to communicate after the gig or whatever? That's hard. So because I didn't see that how important, so I started immediately. I remember the first guy who picked me up when I came from Cuba to show me around was Greg Bissonette.
oh, I
Yeah.
love Greg. Greg's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Met him a couple of times and he's just, yeah, he's just a good guy.
Greg took me around. Greg gave me some really good advices, and I learned a lot of stuff from him. I gave him a few lessons on Cuban music. Of course, I learned a lot from him too
Mhm.
about all the stuff. He told me you got to listen to radio. You got to listen to and I listened to him, and I also met some other great American drummers and non-drummers that gave me good advices. But it's been almost 30 years since I'm here, and I'm telling
Mhm.
you, it's slow. It's very slow. It takes time.
Okay.
Even if you put the most of your effort, it's hard because people got to feel you as part of their family, you know.
I see. I
And
see.
we're not from here, you know. So it takes a lot of I'm not talking about kissing ass or any of that. I'm talking about it takes a lot of being you, you know, and being honest, you know, and make sure that they know that what you want to do is just make great music and
I
make
see.
sure that they know they want you want to make sure that they know that you want to be there, not just for the money,
Mm,
you know.
I see.
So it's a lot of things that take place. Plus, I mean, the amount of styles that you have to learn. I mean, from bossa nova to rock to jazz
Mhm,
to
mhm, mhm.
ECM to bebop to, if you want to be a versatile drum, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people just play one thing, and that's what they do. You know, I don't. I'd love to expand I think drums has to be. I mean, I don't just focus on one thing. I can't. So I wanted to do that, and I've been moving in many directions. So all these guys that I have met with the years, you know, they have seen the transition, and they sometimes we talk and say, "Yeah, you have changed a lot. Yeah, I appreciate how you try to really be here the right way. You know, it
Mm.
still takes time. It's still more to go,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah,
But that is true that the drum hang, if you will, or the musician hang is just as important as what you play or how you play. Because you spend
yeah,
a lot of time together just actually not playing. You're just going to a show or, having dinner together or after show or that sort of thing. And it's a long time if you don't get along. It's gonna be
well,
a long.
and the other thing is, I'm from Cuba, and I mean, I don't really look Cuban, people say, but I'm from Cuba, and I when and I have a name that is not a Latin name, but still,
Mhm.
because I had a book, that book that we were talking
Yeah,
about is I don't know if you ever met Chuck Silverman.
he did. We're in Montreal. Yeah, we had a drum fest for the longest time for like 30 years,
He was a big
and
fan of Cuban music, big
yeah,
fan.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
He
I
went
met him. Yeah,
he went to Cuba, and he we met there, and he gave me some sticks, some cymbal. He really helped me out. And when I made the book, I went to Kinko's and made that book myself.
nice.
He helped me rewrite it, and not the musical part, but all the words and stuff, you know.
Right, right, right.
And then Greg Bissonette told me, let's go to Nam Show, and I'm gonna hook you up with Hudson Music and
Oh,
holler.
nice, nice, nice,
And Greg Bissonette is the one that made it happen.
nice.
He hooked me up with that, and I put the book out.
That'll work out. Very nice. But it's interesting. And I'm glad you talk about your transition and your efforts and your to be where you are, because yeah, it's I think a lot of people can relate to that, that even if they're not from Cuba but they have from a different city or different town, different
Yeah,
states or whatever country, they can relate to that. And yeah, because a lot of people, I mean, I don't want to say it's a gang, but people know other people and they kind of hang out with the same people, and and then you arrive and it's, who's this guy, we got to feel him out. And I remember once a very famous bassist here in Quebec who's played with everybody,
yeah.
and I wrote him an email and I said, oh, blah 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 blah, this project, and he said, call me. And okay, so I call him, and then he feels, I can tell for 20 minutes he's like, so who are you, blah blah blah, and he's asking him all these questions, and he's kind of feeling me out, and at the end he's like, yeah, I feel you're a good guy, let's do something. And I was like, okay, that was interesting, that was very old school, but he
Yeah.
was trying to feel me out to figure out, like,
Hmm.
what do I want, why should I work with you, and being very nice
Exactly.
about it, but just kind of, yeah. So I
Well,
understand what you're saying, yeah.
and put on top of that, how many drummers are in this world, and how many people keep learning drums, and because easier than we used to be in our time and before my time, you would have to really be a musician. You would have to really learn from somebody really close that was, I don't know, but now you can go on the internet. Now a long time ago, but
Yeah.
I mean, the new time, you can learn without going to school. You can go on
Mm.
YouTube and learn,
Yep.
and this is easier to just follow stuff from zero, starting from the beginning and into more develop better playing. But all of that can be seen now. It's easy.
Yeah.
You can slow down things. You can.
Yep.
God, in my time, I had to listen to that tape,
Yep.
and you have to imagine things. So you really have to put so much effort into what you really wanted to do.
Mm.
It makes a big difference because now there's more and more and more drummers. So it's really hard to just you know put your name between all that huge amount of people in this world that want to play and play drums. You are one little thing in there
Little dot. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that if you come out and people recognize you, it's because you're doing something right.
Yeah. And because I've been doing this, is well, not as long as you, but quite some time. The socializing and the hanging out is still as valid today, even
Yeah,
though with all the internet stuff, it's still as
yeah,
valid today, because I think you get a better call from hanging out with people than just,
of
here's my
course.
stuff, go check my YouTube. Cool. I mean, they'll remember the name, but they won't necessarily call you. I think if you hang out with people and spend a day recording or something, they'll just, oh yeah, I recorded with this guy and da 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 da. And I think that's it's an older method, but it's still, I think, a very much valid method today too.
Yeah,
To
people
yeah,
used to put records out to show what they do and to expand their music. But now it's more important. I guess the most important thing is to get likes on Instagram and
yeah,
Facebook. So it's a different thing. It's a different
yeah.
thing. And I'm not really proud of it. Honestly, I'm like, I came here a little, not that late, but a little late, because I really appreciate the guys from the time of Michael Brecker and Jones Caulfield. They're still playing, but I mean, when they were that fire that was back there, the
Yeah.
real uh, music. I get to play with a lot of people today from that time that I really enjoy, and I'm telling you, it's a dream. I mean, we have,
let's
yeah.
get into it, because that's the other part I want to know is that you've played with a lot of people since in the States, and well, the first one, of course, that because I'm an '80s kid, I have to talk about Men at Work.
Yeah.
And you were just recently playing with them, I think, last year. How did that connect? How did you meet with those guys, and how's that been the
Well, when
experience?
I first moved to LA, I, I don't know if you ever heard about Cecilia Noel and the Wild Clamps. Cecilia is a,
No.
Peruvian singer um, from LA that
Okay.
put a cool band, a funk, kind of a world music Cuban funky band.
Cool.
And she had all these great American studio guys, like Jimmy Earl on bass, Carlito Porto. She's got all this incredible, the Greg Bissonell drums, all these incredible musicians,
Hmm.
you know, and they picked me up at the airport when I came from Cuba, and they heard, and her boyfriend at the moment gave me space to be for a little bit, a couple months, and then I move out. And she had a lot of connections too, and she happens to be the wife of Colin Hay today for
Ah, I
many
see.
years.
I see.
So when Collins drummer in 2017 had something else to do, he couldn't keep up
Do
with
it.
the band. He had to
Yeah.
do some other tours. She told Colin, how about Jimmy? Colin was so nice. He gave me a call. I was, oh, Colin, hey, yeah. uh, Honestly, I'm honest with you. I didn't know much about Men at Work before that
Okay, that's
because
okay.
I wasn't into. It didn't get to my ear for some reason. But as soon as
Yeah.
he sent me a music, I realized how incredible it is and how different it was. Well, anyway, to make this fast, it has been an incredible experience working with Colin since 2017,
Yeah, it's
touring
been.
every year, at least 2 to 3 tours a year.
Hmm.
And that guy's been a huge cool for me. Yeah,
Very
because
nice.
he's not a school guy. He's
Mm.
very self-taught guitar player, singer, who has a particular feel. That is, those guys are real. Those guys
Mm.
have. When they write a song and you see some odd meter stuff, they didn't write it
Yeah,
as a
thinking it's the
seven.
seven. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they don't think about that.
yeah,
They put it where it feels good. And
yeah.
then so imagine when they send me the links to learn the stuff, there was no charts, so I had to make my own. So imagine I was trying to come up with the 7 and the 9, and he didn't even know that he
Yeah,
wasn't there.
yeah, yeah.
But it's so real, it's so important to see it how they see it. And anyway, it's every time we play it's better and better, and we got very connected.
Hmm.
Which is the Jimmy Kimmel show a few weeks back, and
Yeah,
it's coming up sometime soon.
that's
And
interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's coming up, and it's always interesting because you go in, you play one song, no rehearsal. You just, I mean, it's the guy. It's just he knows what he wants, and he
Yeah.
plays drums too, so it's scary.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So the
That's good.
experience with not only with him, with the whole band is beautiful. The whole band is very. We feel like family. I mean, it's like family. We tour. We go on a tour bus. We eat together. We spend like sometimes up to 3 months. I mean, now we're living in
Mm.
April again, all the way to August. And in and out. And it's gonna be you're looking forward to that. Yeah.
Very nice. And what's the reaction when you play those hits? Those,
Oh man,
Down
every
Under and all those hits that he,
you,
because there was a
you
lot of hits from them back in the '80s.
yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of them.
yeah,
This guy
yeah,
has so much, and you get more familiar with the songs, and you don't get bored of it because
yeah.
he likes when I bring new stuff to the songs, and I like that.
Oh, I see. See,
Some
yeah, yeah.
some 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 singers and conductors and directors, they want you to do exactly. Well, there's some things that Jerry did that I've tried to do it myself as well. And you have to do certain feels because people are used to as well.
Yeah,
But in the
yeah.
middle and the opening, when you open up on the tunes and the solos and stuff, he loved when I commit with my own
Their own stuff. Very
part of
nice.
it.
Well, that's freeing because you're not stuck,
Yeah,
to that '80s sort of Lindrum, or I don't know. I don't think it was
yeah.
Lindrums back then, but that '80s kind of thing. But I imagine you don't have a choice to go doom doom doo doo doom doo 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 doo.
Oh no, that I do.
That you have to
That
do.
I that yeah. And
That's
the
a
other
classic
thing,
one.
when it comes to other people that I've worked with, when I was in Cuba, I was I dreamed about, because I used to listen to Yellow Jackets. For me, Yellow Jackets one of
Ah,
my
yes.
if I
Love
have to pick one band,
love Yellow Jackets.
is that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt something incredibly, uh, uh, something about that band that when I listen, I just love it. I mean, it's just the commitment and the how they, especially the old. I mean, I like everything, but the old. And Cuba had the albums like The Spin and Greenhouse and Blue Hats, all those records. And I was like, wow, this is incredible, because I really like Will Kennedy.
I was about
I
to
think
say,
he's
yeah,
one of the
he's one of my
most.
favorites. Yeah, and it's the same thing for me. For some reason, back in the '90s, I discovered the Yellow Jackets, and I
Yeah.
got to university to learn jazz,
Hmm.
and it was all this bebop stuff, and I know I
Yeah.
had to go through it,
Yeah.
but I was like, okay, cool, but when do we get to the Yellow Jackets? When do I go to it? Do the wheel stuff and that sort of those
Yeah.
rides, those nice patterns and those slow little jazzy stuff, and they're like, oh, that's not here, my friend. Like, anyways, but yeah, I agree with you. Yellow Jackets is an amazing
And
band, and Will is just amazing. Yeah,
And when I was there, it was a dream. Imagine, say, you don't imagine you're ever gonna play with these guys. And then when
yeah.
I moved to the U.S. and a few years later, I hooked up with Jimmy Haslip and Rosso Ferranti,
Mm.
and I started playing with them, not with the band, but with them separately in other
Yeah, yeah,
projects.
yeah, yeah,
Like we
yeah.
just did a recording last week, Haslip and Russell and
Mhm.
Michael Landau. We did a nice recording for a singer named Marilyn Scott. And then next week we have another session. So we play a lot together. I still
Nice.
dreaming about playing the Yellow Jacks, but they know that. They know that. But I also love Will.
Yeah,
I think it's even if I ever never play with them, I already play with them
I
separately.
see.
And
I
Jimmy
see.
Haslip and I do a lot of productions together. So he's I love that guy. His sound is just amazing.
So well, yeah. Since you're on the subject, is there still a lot of studio work in LA? What is the scene like?
Well, it's some of us, get called for certain things,
Mhm,
because that's the beauty about, having your own sound. People want you for this, they want the other for this and that, and then
mhm, mhm, mhm.
I do a lot of recording here at home. So
Okay.
I get most of my sessions here at home, but I
Okay.
I do get to go to studios, record live with bands as well. But I do get most of my stuff because people know that I get a good sound here, and they know that I send it fast, and I
I
also
see.
help them produce a little bit. So it's more comfortable for them. I prefer to play live with musicians, but I got used to my friend the metronome.
Yes, he
Yeah,
is a friend. He is a friend.
yeah,
So it's more in-house studios, more and more now, is what you're saying.
yeah. A lot of people mainly doing a
Yeah.
lot of recordings, and it's unfortunate how the live recording bands recording together is dying little by little.
Hmm.
I don't think it's because it's mainly because hard to afford. A lot of people don't
Hmm.
have money to go into studios because CDs are not selling anymore.
Yeah.
So even big artists are struggling. And so at home it's easier and the equipment is not expensive.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can get a great sound if you know how the drum sounds. You can get a really good drum sound with inexpensive stuff.
I see.
Honestly, yeah.
I see. Yeah. No, it's weird because I finally finished the Beatles documentary,
Mm,
Get Back, and that's how they did it. They're all sitting, the four of them together,
yeah,
just recording and doing takes and doing takes and doing takes. And it's the engineer's job to just make sure everything's okay for them, sort of thing,
yeah,
situation.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, wow, I haven't seen that in so long, just in the same room recording together, and it was fascinating to see how it was done for them. Yeah.
The only thing about this remote thing work is that musicians get to learn how to be producers too.
Yeah.
Because once you start recording your track for someone, you are producing as well. You are not in the
Mm,
studio being led by someone that says, "Can you do this like this?" I mean, they might send you notes, but you are by yourself with the track.
mm,
So you
mhm,
have to produce your drum set, your drum
mm.
track, and also choosing what cymbal I'm gonna use, what drum heads, what kind of tuning, what kind of sticks I'm gonna use for this, what is the right hi hat, what's the right combination for this song,
Mm.
and for that is you need experience to be able to know what works good for the song. And
Mhm, mhm.
there's nothing more incredible in this life for me that when I send a track back, they don't make me do it again. It's nothing more pleasant than that, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the best feeling.
It says that you've done a good job, basically. Yes.
But sometimes they do. Sometimes they tell Jimmy, "Can you do this in this part?" Yeah, you have to do it. What I'm saying is that it's great when they tell you perfect, and
Mm,
you feel good because you feel that you're doing the right thing, and it
mhm.
makes you feel good, not just about yourself, but you know that these guys are happy. You got to make them happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No. Yeah, they're the client, basically. They're the
yeah,
ones asking you to play drums. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
100%. Moving along, there's also another artist I saw you play with, Keiko Matsui. I guess I hope to say that correctly. I've seen you a couple of concerts, and you two very nice, very interesting setup. And you play from time to time with, I think Louis Contes is there as well with you on times,
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
not.
well, all these studio guys like Luis Conti, which is one of my heroes here. We get to play once in a while together or
Yeah,
record together.
yeah,
And he's in some of Keiko's records too. And
yeah,
even we play live without percussion. Sometimes he is special guest here and there.
yeah.
But on the records we always have her records mainly always also different drummers. Last record with Keiko was Greg Bissonette and myself, both of us. And the
Okay,
previous
cool.
one was Vinny, myself, and someone else. And the previous one,
Oh,
there's always guests. There's always guests.
yeah.
And yeah, Keiko is one of my favorite, honestly,
Hmm.
gigs. Keiko and calling is like my main things because it's totally different from calling. Hey,
Yes,
Keiko
yes.
Matsui, it's not really smooth jazz like people think it is. When in our own quartet, it's more open. It's more world music. It has a lot of dynamics, and
Yes.
we have put a lot of work into the music to be interesting, not just to be a square groove with a melody.
Yeah, and like
And
solo,
she
solo, solo. You just there
yeah,
is
and
there's
she's
something to
she,
it. Yes.
she's
Yeah.
very open to new sounds and stuff. She's a sweetheart and very easy to work with as well.
Hmm.
Incredible musician and writer. Great composer
Hmm.
as well. So I
And
love
you
going. I go to tours. I go on tour with her a lot during the year. Yeah,
and you've been how long playing with her?
since 2014, I think,
Yeah, it's
something
I've
like that,
seen a
or
couple of things.
before, maybe
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
And so basically, when she does a record, it like you say, it's guests, and then when you tour, is it mostly you, or is this you do the same
Well,
thing, or
when
is it?
mostly I try to be available because I love playing with her. But when I'm
Mhm,
not, she calls some other guys that she worked with. Yeah,
mhm,
and
mhm.
it's always great. And everyone brings their own taste to it. But our band it has going on because we have worked together into making something different so that it doesn't sound like just square or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
We try to make something simple into something interesting.
yeah. No, it's
Sometimes.
good stuff. I invite people to go check out Jimmy with Keiko. There's one in particular called Live at Campus Jacks, which is very, very good.
Oh,
Available. I don't know if you agree, but I that's the one I watched. That was really cool.
yeah, and
And
there's also horns on that one.
yeah,
For
exactly. It was very, very nice. I liked it
Brandon
a lot.
Fields. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see Jimmy do a couple of solos here and there. And I was wondering about that. If you can go into the soloing part, is that something that's natural to you, or is that something you developed, or what's your idea behind soloing?
Well, honestly, I don't like playing solos by myself. I like when there's some kind of interaction.
Right.
But when I have to do it, it's I'm thinking about a few things, and I'm thinking about the being uh, being open and try to be myself, respecting the style. Because sometimes you
Hmm.
do a solo coming out of a song that is, I don't know if it's a fusion solo is a little more open and you can go in many different directions. If
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
samba thing, you gotta stay in kind of in character. And
Mm.
when it's Cuban, but what doesn't work is if you're playing a bebop tune and then if you try to convert that into a Cuban solo, then it's not. I don't say it doesn't work, but I'm saying you're getting out of the style a little bit.
I see. I
So you
see.
have to remind yourself in the style that you are and try to build something from what the song, what they left for you right before you start doing the solo. So you
Mm.
take it from there and you bring up ideas like I don't bring practice ideas. I never
Okay.
practice soloing. I even sometimes drop sticks and stuff, and I try to phrase. what makes me feel good at the moment,
Okay.
and I try to connect phrases without interrupting them, and not meaning that we don't leave some kind of space here and there. I'm talking about playing very where there's it doesn't sound like this. You're breaking. A lot of people do a solo where they break from this and they go to this, they go to this. I
Okay.
try to connect them,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
and a lot of good drummers do that too. I mean, it's just to try to make it more musical, And if you're in a rock or in a stadium or something, and you come on, another thing comes to
Yeah.
play,
Yeah.
power. You need to keep that
Yeah. Yeah.
power because a dozen people looking at you, and you're not
Yeah.
gonna still like.
You're not doing your rudimental stuff with the
Yeah, yeah,
pataflaws and whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some
No.
kind. That's a whole different deal
Mm.
well, now, because if you listen to live when you Ian Pace with Deep Purple live,
Oh yes.
when they let him by himself, he start building from zero. He
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
this
He
beautiful
was
stuff.
very low on the snare and then would start building up.
But it
Yeah.
was different times. People have more. People could take that. Now people want give me this, give me. So
Yeah.
you still can do what you want, but you also working for a crowd as well, So
True.
and plus sometimes it's like this short, and it's, you got to make up your mind and make sure. I always think about one thing when I play live. I always think that I'm recording
Ah, interesting.
because it makes you take everything serious and makes you uh, everything that comes out of you natural, but also precise and and you meaning what you're doing instead of just one day you're tired. I don't care. There's no people that I know in the crowd. I don't. Never. I
Mm.
always think that there's that I'm recording, that I'm doing a live recording, so that people gonna listen back.
Mm.
That's the best way I see it because that makes you always be focused on doing the right thing and not taking anything for granted. And
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
when you play in a club, you always have to think that someone in there might hire you.
Mm-hmm.
Besides playing for the crowd. But so you always have to play. If you have the interest into going into span and playing with a lot of people, and you want to be even, you got to get more. You want to get more calls for work, and you want to play more. You have to put yourself out there in the best way possible. So when I play in the clubs and stuff, I try to focus on playing my best.
I see. Yeah. Yeah.
Even when
It's
we don't have good days. Sometimes we don't have good days, and
yeah, like
but
all of
even
us.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I always think, okay, this is a live recording. That's what I do. It puts a lot of tension in you, but I'm used to already.
Yeah. I was about to say too
But
much pressure, but
we are not that far from that. It's a live recording because everyone is recording something.
yeah.
So
Well,
and
everybody's
then
got a phone today. Yeah.
and I think that's the main reason. If I can go back a little bit, that's the main reason because people will post stuff about you
Yeah.
that you didn't allow to. So now you have to play for those people because you don't want people to be posting stuff about you didn't like. So unfortunately, it happens because then they're not gonna get us in our best time, best days always. But
Mm.
people are constantly posting your show. Sometimes they do it right after the show, or sometimes
Mm-hmm.
during the show. So now you got to look up for that because what happened if the people that you think that you want to play with or you're dreaming about it gets to see that little clip where you didn't play right because that could happen. Someone posts something and there's someone who wants to hear you play to hire you gets to see that specific clip where you just play like you didn't make it, and they're gonna go by that because they didn't have time to go and look at all the stuff you have. So that's why I think you have to play always your best because you never know not only what people are gonna post, but you never know who's looking for someone or someone who's might hire you because of that video that was posted.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
So
lot of pressure, Jimmy,
a lot
but
of
yes.
pressure.
but that a very good philosophy for sure.
It's
Like they say.
it's the world we live in today.
But to close up with the solo, one thing I noticed that you do a lot that I think that was interesting, that was kind of you, was that basically you do a left hand thing where basically you keep your ostinato and sort of practicing with your, or doing sort of phrasing with your right hand, or is that something you don't even think about? It just sort of happens,
Well,
or
honestly, that just come from Cuban music, from
oh,
playing
I
the
see.
playing the clave and
Right.
improvising with the right hand. But
Right hand.
I think we do that to show off. I think, I mean, it sounds interesting, but to me, it's just to show that you have the independence of playing the clave and do stuff around. I mean, it's cool. I love it. I mean, I think it's great, but it's part of that ego inside that we can do it. A
Okay.
lot of people, not just Cuban, a lot of people can do that. But it's an interesting thing you put inside a solo. I don't do that much lately, but when I do it to in order to bring phrases that people can hear the reference rhythm like the
Yeah,
clave
exactly. Yeah,
while
yeah.
you phrase.
Phrase
But
on
it
top of it.
also shows independence. It also
Yeah.
shows independence and how fast you can do stuff with your right hand while you write it with the left.
That's true, but I would
Yeah.
always, I would think it would be so, it was kind of musical as well,
Oh
instead of
yeah,
just
you
doing,
have to.
instead of just doing, I'll do these sixteenths and quads and whatever.
You
I
have
think
to try to
it's
make it musical. Yeah,
yeah, I think
that's
it's
the yeah
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very musical. Well, I mean, I think you're doing great, because one of the quotes I got from one of those videos we were talking about, where somebody posted, is somebody said, "You're one of the best, most musical drum solos that I've heard in a long time. Too many
Oh
drummers
man,
today are just playing a lot of notes instead of telling a story through the drums. This guy is a great storyteller." So that's
that's
one of the
beautiful.
quotes that's on one of the videos. And I can show you the link if you want, but that's one of the things. And I think I have to agree, because I watched a couple of solos where you have just a bit, I don't know, 16 bars, whatever, 30 seconds or whatever, and it is fast. It is, but it's still musical. There's still a story. There's still a repetition. There's still a melody. There's still a conclusion, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I like what you do in your solos. That's why I was asking you about the solo stuff. So
I think harder than doing solos is drum fills.
okay,
And transitions. That's hardest because that a transition into a song in a song it's one of the things that we take for granted. And that's one of the hardest thing to work. I mean, when someone counts four and you bring a fill into a song, that takes some work to make that, even in the studio with a click track. But even live, I mean, it transitions and drum fills into and out of whatever musical situation you are. Is one of the hardest things to do rather than soloing. Because
Th-
that's when you show how how you make the next part of the song come up, or not, and what did you choose to do at that moment, and did you forget that you already did that before, or maybe you did it? So you build through a song. Sometimes I repeat the same feel, but I do it
mm,
with a different intention. But sometimes the same one, you know,
mm.
maybe in a different part of the drums, maybe in with different color, but transitions are very important.
I think you're right about that, because, well, I just did it to you earlier when I went doom doom doo doo doom doo doo,
Yeah,
and right then that's a drum fill, that's
yeah,
a melody, and
yeah,
everybody immediately knows what that song is. For instance,
yeah,
um, you're also sort of the conductor, because you're like, okay, I'm doing this fill. We're going to this next section, for instance,
yeah.
and what do you choose to introduce the next section that you know binds the next section together? So yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Not only that, we're in a world now where a lot of people want to play off. They want to play offbeat. They want to play crazy stuff, and so you can do some of the stuff in the middle. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. But to open a song, you got to play something where the band feels where you are. You know,
Mhm. Yeah, where
otherwise,
where the time is, right, right.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
especially if you're bringing more than if you, especially when you're separate in a stage, big stage, even if you have good sound or whatever, when you separate from the musicians, is a whole different tension than when you're together close with them. So you have to make sure that they hear your transitions, and they understand
Mhm.
them. Not a
Mm.
lot of people understand the amount of syncopation that we have in Cuba. This and unfinished. We could talk about that for years, all the syncopation, all the accents that we could do that could throw off anyone because they're not used to. So sometimes you got to play safe for certain people. Sometimes you be able to be yourself, but most of the time you have to play so that people can feel good about what's coming next,
Mhm.
and what
Mhm.
you're doing. And man, it's so much.
That'll be part two, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because that could take a while.
Mm.
Last two things, I wanted to just quickly touch on the book that you made. That is, you say it's an older book, but I think it's still relevant today. The New Method for Afro-Cuban Drumming. And yeah, talk me about the genesis of making that book, and why did you decide to make that book, and how's it been since then?
That was when I first started to record at home. I don't know where I was at that time, but yeah, I at first I did all the examples. I count myself in one, two, and I play the exercises. Then I wrote it down, and then I said I'm gonna make a book with this. So it was after I recorded the examples.
Okay.
Uh, and then wrote the stuff and say I'm gonna just go to Kinko's, make it myself, and sell it myself.
Yeah, you're
And then
saying, yeah.
and then happened what I told you with Greg. Greg hooked me up with Hot Leonard and Hudson Music, and we put it out. But it was mainly try to put the most important ideas that a drummer can learn to get involved into the simple Cuban drumming, but also to advance a little bit, into it without getting on a thick book with a lot of it's just thin. If you see it, it's really small book
Yeah,
with
yeah.
very little. But what that book has is very is important because it goes from from A to Z, super smoothly with some stuff you can add here and there. It's not a complicated book, but I think it has some important stuff there.
Well, just to quickly show it, just so people know what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
That
So
photo is funny.
this one here.
No, the one in the front with the
Oh,
front page.
okay.
And
Oh,
I
sorry.
so
I
funny
thought you were
because
this
I
one
was
here.
and yeah, that's the back, but the front has like I'm like with a suit.
Oh, I
I
see.
didn't know
No,
what to do.
I don't think I have it, because when you buy the book online, it gives you this basically.
Yeah,
But
of
I
course, of
see
course.
what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mean.
yeah. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, than
But
the
yeah, just a table of content, just to show people if they're interested in to get into the book.
yeah,
Basically, this is what you'll see. You'll see clave, cascara, bumbo, bongo bell, ideas for soloing, wawanko, cha cha, Afro Cuban 6/8, and of course, Jimmy goes through a bit of the the clave notations, the regular stuff.
yeah.
And you go through the book, different cascara, bumbo note, and it's very well.
And the bombo note, hopefully, I don't know if we didn't transcribe that in there, but the bombo means kick drum, bass drum. Yeah,
I see. I
yeah,
see. And you got the notations. What I really love, of course, is the audio stuff. And what I really love is that you added the clave to some of the examples to know
yeah,
as you're doing it, what's the clave that goes with that pattern.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's the hardest thing. And I will point to me, white guy here who's only lived on rock and roll, and I love that stuff and I've listened to it, but for the life of me, I cannot figure out if it's a 2/3, 3/2. Is it son? Is it, what
Yeah.
would be your recommendation if people want to get into this stuff, and besides of course getting your book, but to understand the whole music, the clave, where it fits, all that stuff very quickly in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, by learning the book, you learn all the theory stuff, and
Yeah,
but the thing is where to put this once you learn it. Where am I
yeah,
gonna play it? When is the right moment to play it? That's
to
what
play that.
that you can only learn that by listening to that style of music, so that you know where the drummer is putting the clave. Sometimes the most of the time, people who know how to write this music, they tell you the chart says on top 2/3 or 3/2.
Oh, I
So you
see.
need to learn how to feel. That's why I say feels are important. How to feel into a 2/3 song, and start it from there, and how to feel into a 3/2 clave song.
Mhm.
So that when they tell you what it is, you go into it, and then immediately you're gonna feel how it works with the music. Now the problem is when the band doesn't tell you what it is, you immediately have to figure that out by the melody, because when the melody lands in one so much, mainly it's 2/3. But if it's off one so much, the 3/2 might work better. So it depends on the melody. But to make it simple, if you take a real book with all the standards, American standards of jazz songs, most of them work in 2/3 cloud.
Okay.
Most of them.
2/3.
So
Okay.
that's no doubt about it. You know.
Good to know.
So you can start with that. Grab any of the songs that you like from the real book, any standard, and immediately start it with 2/3. You see it's gonna work. I don't want to
Okay.
be wrong, but most of them are. Most of them
Okay.
are.
And if not, look to the bass player or the other
Yeah,
percussionists.
so you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. But books don't teach you this stuff. Books don't
Yeah.
teach you the stuff. You got to
Yeah.
go out,
You
or
gotta,
you got to listen. You know,
yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
pay attention to what you really want to do. You know.
Very nice. Well, anyways, I invite people to go check out the book. I will go through it because I haven't done Afro-Cuban stuff in a long time.
Yeah.
And
Also for them to check out. Don't forget about the old Cuban drummers. You know,
yeah, and
people.
I was about to
You
say,
know,
who do you recommend in terms of drummers?
most people listen to just the youngers. You know, come on, don't forget. You know, don't forget Jack DeUnette. Don't forget Elvin Jones. Don't forget all those guys. And in Cuba, I wasn't really aware of these names, but
Mm,
in Cuba we have the amazing Ignacio Berroa, Cuban
mhm,
drummer,
mhm,
and
mhm.
Ignacio and I are good friends. Ignacio and I speak on the phone mostly 3-4 times a week.
Oh, nice.
We are very and we talk a lot, and he's an incredible guy with incredible experience. We're playing with Dizzy Gillespie and all the stuff he did, and all
Mhm,
his particular and incredible uh, sound that he's got, and the way he projects on the drum sounds as an American, and as a Cuban. So guys like that, and all the guys that uh, El Negro and Daphne's, Raul Pineda, and
mhm,
there's a bunch of Cuban drummers. Simpson, Ernesto Simpson, really Cuban drummers that people don't sometimes mention.
mhm.
Uh, and try to listen to the new cast, but try to go back. Type on your little Google thing. Traditional older Cuban
Cuban
drummers, or
drummers.
however you want to type it, but try to go back and see where all this began.
Yeah.
And people like Ignacio, not only I don't want to say he's an old Cuban drummer, he's older than me, but he is very contemporary when he's playing as well. So
Okay.
he
Okay.
plays the original stuff, but he also knows how to play with youngers.
Yeah,
And
with the
it's
modern stuff, the more
yeah.
fusion stuff. Yeah.
So pay attention to all this stuff, and don't just listen to the drums, guys.
For instance.
Yeah, one of my
And
heroes is Jack Dionne. Honestly, it's
yeah, and sadly he
yeah,
passed away recently.
yeah,
But yes, he was my introduction to just a quick exchange.
yeah,
My introduction to Jack was with Pat Metheny's
yeah,
album 8081,
yeah,
where he's playing that more of acoustic stuff,
yeah.
and it's basically Jack just going off as the rest of the band is just keeping the rhythm, sort of thing. And it's like for a rock drummer at first, I was like, "What is this? I have absolutely no clue. I love it, but I don't know what's happening." And then you listen to it again, and then you could start to hear some phrasing and some patterns. And but yeah, he was out there. It was quite interesting to listen to him. Yeah.
Well, if you want to listen to one of his best stuff, John Scofield, "Time in My Hands."
Okay.
One of the best records with one of his best stuff. And I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the sound and everything there is incredible.
Oh, it's gritty. It's hard. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Good call. So, well, let's last question, as I thank you so much for taking so much time with us, is what's up with you for the next 2026? Is it more touring? Is it more recording? Is it
I'm
teaching?
doing a lot of recordings here at home, and I'm starting with Calling Hay in April.
Okay.
We have a kind of like a West Coast tour, almost a month, and then we're going to Brazil, Mexico.
Nice.
Coming back. When I say I'm coming back, I keep working with other people. So when I get back, I do some stuff with Keiko. Then I go back and I do recordings. I do some sessions in LA. Then we have a 2-month tour in July.
Okay.
And then it's going to be all around the US. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
again.
cool.
So sometimes we go as calling hey, sometimes we go as men at work,
Work. Okay.
meaning that the men at work is just men at work songs.
Oh, right.
And when we
Okay.
go with calling hey, which is his songs too, but when we go with calling hey, he puts more of a semi acoustic set with the hits as well, but some of his newer compositions,
Okay. Okay.
and that he has worked for so long, and it's beautiful too because it's different. It's a little more some right kind of some writer kind of thing, where it's more intimate.
Yeah.
And then the men at work is the big tones and the big.
Yeah.
And
The
then
pop stuff and yeah, the
so
arrangements and.
that's what I play the 5 Bs, and then the other one I play the 5 As. And
Good call.
before we go, I wanted to show you. This is
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Show us the studio.
This is I can't put the cable. It's just it's just
Very nice Yamaha set. Yes, I know you're endorsed. Yeah, very cool.
yeah. And then over here I have all my gear to mix and master, and
Okay.
it's very simple room.
Yeah.
But I do all my drum tracks here, and I switch cymbals all the time, so I have them all behind the drums. Sometimes I have to. There's a song, and I have like 3 songs to record in one day, or whatever, and then I put everything in one of those plates holders.
And
The metal that
oh,
they
the
sell
plastic
it's like
at the store?
Yeah, they have like these compartments of metal where you put plates when you clean your plates in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
So I put my cymbals there
Okay.
against the wall.
Okay.
And so I grab them as I go, so I don't have to go. I don't have to get in the bag and get him out. So I can see him right there. So,
There. Yeah.
because sometimes I need a flat, sometimes I need a hard rise, sometimes it's a drier open, depending on the song.
The song. Yeah. Very nice.
So that's another thing I recommend. Get your gear, because it's important that you have variety of sounds, and you can.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
express
because that 22 power rise is not going to work into an acoustic set, for instance. It could if you very tightly, but yeah, it's not the same feelings to it. Well, I thank you so much, Jimmy, for spending the time with us. It was very much appreciated. I wish you all the best with 2026. If anybody wants to get in touch with you for touring, recording, whatever, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, there's Instagram, Facebook. Just message me, and because honestly, websites, people are not visiting websites anymore. But I also have a website, which is jimmybranleymusic.com.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. I thank you so much, Jimmy. I wish you all the best 2026, and hopefully we get to do this part 2, talk more about other stuff and geek out about any other subject you'd love to. We'd love to have you back.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All the best, Jimmy. Ciao, ciao. That's our episode for tonight. Thanks you so much for being with us. Thank you, Jimmy, for taking the time with us. Until then, come back for our next episode of Drumfills Kafé. Until then, all the best to you. Ciao, ciao.